Alrighty, I think we can get started, but welcome to all those who are still joining us tonight. I am Miriam, and I will be your moderator for this session. With me today, I have an all-star panel that will talk to you a little bit about financial aid and scholarships here at Trent University. So I'm excited to introduce both Danielle and Amanda, who are our affordability coordinators here at Trent for our financial aid department. And we're excited to share with you why Trent has been ranked the #1 undergraduate university in Ontario for the past 12 consecutive years now. So tonight will go as follows. Our panelists will have a presentation for you folks, and following that, we'll open the floor to any questions you have directly to our staff and faculty, as well as myself. And with that, let's get started with the presentation.
Okay, so I will share my screen here in a second. If you do have any questions during the presentation, you can pop them into the Q&A down there. My colleague Amanda, she's not there. I'm sure she's waving because I'm waving at her. She will go ahead and answer. There she is. She will answer some questions in the background, so don't feel like you have to wait till the end, but there will be time at the end as well. But pop them in there. If Amanda doesn't answer, we'll answer them live afterwards. So let's go ahead and get started. Make sure everybody can see. Perfect. Okay. So as mentioned, Amanda and I work at the financial aid office here at Trent. So I'm just going to do a short little presentation because as much as I would love to talk about everything, I can't cover it all in 25 minutes, but I'm going to give you the best that I can. So we'll chat about what is financial aid, how much does it cost to come to university, and then how you can afford that through scholarships, bursaries, OSAP, and other resources. I will mention that we do work only with domestic undergraduate students. So if you are an international student, I'm so sorry. I love that you're here, but any questions you'll need to direct over to our international department because they have their own programs that they administer. If you are a grad student, we do OSAP for grad students, but again, domestic only. Questions, again, pop them into the Q&A and we will have time at the end as well. So who are we? We are the financial aid office. We're your money people. We're the ones that you're going to want to come talk to about scholarships. So that's money based off of your grades. You're going to want to chat to us about bursaries, money based off of financial need. We also administer the OSAP program here at Trent. And then we have a little bit of a hand in work study programs. So work study programs are on-campus jobs here at Trent. There are many positions reserved throughout both campuses for students that are in receipt of OSAP, and they can work on campus. So it's one of some jobs will say you have to be part of this program, which is super awesome. It's about $2,000, 10 hours a week, but you get to work in different departments. So if you're maybe a chemistry major, there might be a position for you in a lab. And you're not just getting that experience, that hands-on experience, but you're networking, you're building your resume, and you get the flexibility with the hours. So if this is something that you're considering, job postings typically get posted the term before, so summer before fall, and then you'll start to see them now for January, but just keep an eye on it and chat with the Career Center. How much does it cost to come here? So these are your numbers based off of this current academic year for our Peterborough campus. So you can see tuition is $6,100. Your fees are about $1,500. And then books and supplies, a modest estimate of $1,300. That would be if you're taking 10 classes, it's about $130 a book, which isn't always true. Some programs, the books are a little bit more, they might be a little bit less, but you want to still have a number in there to budget for. Your biggest expense is going to come probably from your living. So if you're going to live at home, we do estimate $4,200 because you're going to help out. You might be paying gas, your cell phone bill, chipping in for groceries. So you're still going to have some expenses even though you're living at home. But if you're living away from home, that's that biggest expense. We budget $14,000. Here at Trent, if you were to live on residence, that's one of those premium single rooms, but you can get a general idea of what the budget looks like anywhere from $13,000 up to $23,000. So you want to see these numbers, you want to know them. You don't want to be caught off guard because if you understand them, it helps you to prepare. So you can start to look at opportunities on how to maybe get these numbers down some. The books is a Great one because you can buy a lot of books used, or you can buy different versions of books, or maybe you only need a few chapters from a book. I know my daughter bought a book, but she really only needed maybe a chapter from it. And you can go to the library, you can rent books. So take a look at all of those options, figure out where you're going to live. If you're going to live at home, remember, you're still going to have expenses, whether it's traveling or gas or cell phone. And then if you want to live away from home, look at all of those residence options. Do you need the premium room, or are you okay having a buddy? Do you want to maybe live just off campus in annex style, maybe not be part of a meal plan? Make sure you chat with that housing office. Look at all of those options before you sign on the dotted line so that you're not caught off guard, so you know exactly how much that is going to cost for you. The bottom one there, preparing food and coffee at home. I'm a big advocate of this. I don't buy lunch and I don't buy coffee. It's not that I can't, but I make my stuff at home and I bring that into work. And if that is something that's going to save me a little bit of money in the long run, then that's something that I like to do. The same with parking. That's another thing that you're going to want to consider, because if you're in high school, you're not paying for parking necessarily right now. And here at Trent, you pay for parking in Peterborough, but you don't pay for parking at Trent Durham. So these are the other things that you want to look at, is how much is that pass going to cost you? Can you park someplace else and maybe walk over? So make sure you're looking at all of those options, and definitely come chat with us in the financial aid office. So now that you have the big scary number, you saw how much it's going to cost for you to come to school, don't freak out. You can do this. We're going to give you all kinds of different resources to take a look at. So right now you can create your account with OSAP. You can go ahead and you can go and register as a user. You may not be able to do the profile link yet if you haven't applied to colleges or universities, but that will become an option later on for you. So you can look at that part. From January to April, we have our prestigious scholarship applications, which I'll show you that program afterwards, but you can apply for those. From March to August, we start sending out scholarship offers to students based off of those high school grades that we're going to start getting. June and July, entrance bursary applications. So we'll post that, and it's only offered on the entrance year. So you want to make sure that if you're a new student to Trent, you're applying for that one. During the summer, you're going to look at external awards. You're going to have a summer job, maybe look at that TWSP program, that work study program, those on-campus jobs, and start saving some money. You know you have that big bill coming up, so you want to make sure that you have that money saved, a little cushion, so you're not panicked when classes start. And then while you're in school, we have our in-course bursary program. So that means you can apply for funding from the school each term that you're in studies. So if you follow this, you're going to start funding as much of that education with as much free money as possible. So the money that you don't have to pay back. So our scholarship program is, there's no application on the entrance level. So it's going to be based off of your admission average here at Trent. So if you're coming from high school, it's those top 6 4U, 4M level courses. That's what we're going to start looking at. Our scholarships are renewable for up to 4 years of undergraduate studies. So that means as long as you finish 5 Trent credits with an 80% or higher, you'll automatically renew for the following year. So what you want to do is work really hard right now at that high school level and come in at that higher admission average. So if you come with that 90 to 94, you're looking at $2,500 a year. You only need an 80 to renew. So you don't have to get back up to that 90 level. If you do, super awesome. But if not, you only need to get that 80% to renew for the following year. So bake brownies, do what you got to do, all those extra assignments, get that admission average up really high so that you come in on that higher bar. Because once you come in on that bar, that's the bar that you live on. So if you come in from 80 and that $1,000, that's the bar that you're going to live on while you're here at Trent. So the higher, the better. Our prestigious scholarships, these are application based. They are application based because it's more than just grades. We want to know everything wonderful about you. You get to brag about yourself. Tell us everything that's great. And don't hold back. Share everything, because we're looking at your merit, your extracurricular, that volunteer experience, your leadership. All of that is what you want to put into the application. Out of these, only 14 are awarded. So you can see Champlain is $5,000. So these scholarships, they're higher value. They follow all of the same rules. They're renewable up to 4 years of undergraduate studies. It's just they're competitive because we only award out 14 of them. So that application will open through your MyTrent portal. January, within that first week or so of January, and it stays open until April 1st. So make sure you get that application in there, because then they get sent off to a committee and they're going to read all of the wonderful applicants. So brag, brag, brag. And then they make those selections, and then you'll hear from us in May. So scholarships is money based off of your grades. So that's Trent giving you money for being super awesome and getting those high grades. But then we have our bursary program. So this is money that's given to you from us that you don't have to pay back, but it's based off of financial needs. So you must be in receipt of OSAP, or if you're an out of province student or band funded student, we would look at that as well. And you have to complete the application to be considered. So your very first opportunity is that entrance bursary. It's only offered on the entrance year, which means you only get that one chance to apply on that very first year. And that application will open in June and it closes the end of July. It ranges anywhere from $500 to $1,000. So that's free money from Trent before you even get here. So that goes against your bill for the fall. So you're bringing that down. Once you're here and you're in class, we have our in-course bursaries. So you can apply for those each term. So fall, winter, and summer if you choose to study in the summer term. And that bursary goes against your student account as well. It goes against any fees that you have due, and it ranges from $100 to $1,000. And these numbers, they could go higher. So we're looking at that, but definitely make sure you apply for everything. The next thing you see there is our City of Peterborough Award. So this is a very specific one. It's geared towards our students coming from our local Peterborough high schools. If you are eligible, we take the top two students from each Peterborough high school. So even if you think that you may not get it, go ahead and apply, because what happens is we may only have one student apply from Kenner and they meet all the criteria. They're going to get $2,000. So make sure you apply for everything. Even if you think you're not eligible, or you're like, oh, I'm not the smartest kid. There's, Sam over here is smarter, and I know they're applying. You know what? Maybe Sam didn't hit submit and you did, and now you're getting $2,000. So apply for everything. Let us tell you no, instead of you assuming that it's going to be a no. The very last one that you're seeing there is the first generation and Indigenous student bursary. These ones are given to us by the ministry. So the ministry gives us money to go ahead and give out to students. So we launch these applications in January. So they will open the first week of classes in January through the My Trent portal. I believe last year it was anywhere from $250 to $500 each for those. So again, free money. If you're eligible, apply for everything. So that's bursary. So you're getting free money from the school for your super awesome high grades. We're giving you some bursary money. So now we're going to chat about OSAP. So if you're not familiar with the program, it changes every year. It's ever evolving. It hasn't been the same for the 10 years that I've been doing it, and it's only getting better. So the OSAP program is for students from Ontario. It's not just based off of parents. It's got many variables that go into that assessment. So they look at you, your parents, where you're studying, where you're living, much bigger process. And it's a combination of federal and provincial loans and grants. So loans is the money that you have to pay back. Grants is the money you get to keep. So that's that free money that you hear about. As long as you do everything that OSAP asks you to do, so file your taxes, parents file taxes, you pass your classes, your grants remain grants, and then you only have to repay back the loan portion. What you're seeing on the left-hand side is the OSAP aid estimator. It's a great tool. You can go ahead, you can play with it, get a general idea, but remember, it is an estimate. The best way to know what you'll be considered for with OSAP is to complete the full OSAP application. If you're looking to start studies in September of 2023, the OSAP application typically opens the end of April, early May. So you'll want to go on, you can create that profile, get it ready. And then once the application is open, you'll get an email to let you know that you can go in and now complete the OSAP application. But definitely tinker with the estimator. But honestly, the best thing to do the OSAP application, because that information will actually transmit into the financial aid office and we can then see it and help address it for you. Where with the aid estimator, that information doesn't come to us. So it's hard for us to troubleshoot it. If you have a weird estimate, there's nothing for us to really help you out with. So do the full OSAP. You can always close it afterwards. When you are registering with OSAP, you can see it's the new user registration. The best thing to do is to do the OCAS OUAC link. So when that is an option, It pulls all of that information that you've already given to OUAC, pulls it into OSAP for you, and it jump starts the applications when they're ready to open. So you don't have to enter that information twice, and it actually completes step 1 of the OSAP application for you. So go ahead, when this is an option for you, do that link and sync it up, and then you'll be able to finish the application. The OSAP application itself is only 4 steps. So if you do that OUAC link, you're already completing step 1. It'll jumpstart an OSAP application for each school that you're applying to, as well as the program. So that will already be done for you. Step 2 is all about you. So it should be pretty easy. Some of the questions down there is, when did you last attend high school? Do you want to identify as a student with a disability, or maybe self-identify as Indigenous? They want to know your status. Where will you be living? All of that is under the about you. The section 3 is all about your family. So if you're coming straight from high school, you're considered a dependent student. So that means that parental information is required on the OSAP application. So that's where your parents would sit with you and you would fill out this section. So they'd ask about what their income is. Do they have any children? Are they married? How many children are in post-secondary? All of that information lives under step 3. And then step 4 being the final, where you would submit. Now, at any point during the application, you can click save. So if you don't have the information, go ahead, click save, step out, gather, and come back and finish the OSAP application so that everything on there is accurate. And remember, it's your information. So it should be you filling it out. As much as mom and dad really want to help, it should be you sitting down and doing that, because we can't talk to anybody else about your information, even if parents' information is on there. So make sure you know what is on your OSAP application. Once you've done step 1, 2, and 3, you can see all those check marks there. There are hyperlinks all the way through the OSAP application. I'd love to show you the whole OSAP application, but in 25 minutes, just not possible. But you can save at any point, click the hyperlinks. It'll pop up all of that additional information. If you get stuck, call the financial aid office, have a chat with us, and we can help troubleshoot it for you, help you understand the question a little bit better. Step 4 is that review and submit. So make sure you go back, check everything out. Did you spell your name correctly? Is parents' name spelled correctly? Those SIN numbers, you didn't invert some numbers or birth dates, because all of that will stop an OSAP application from processing, and then you'll need to submit some documentation. So make sure you're checking everything there. Once you click submit, the OSAP application will run its assessment. You'll get an estimate there, but you'll have some documentation to submit. So if you're not sure that you want to take OSAP and you just kind of want to see what the assessment looks like, go ahead and click submit, and then you can submit the documentation afterwards. During the OSAP application, it will ask you if you want to print your documents or have it mailed to you. Please select print your own. If you select mail, it could take 3 to 6 weeks to get that into the mail, and then you have to sign them and then get them to us. If you select to print your own, you're going to print them at home, you're going to sign them, and you're going to scan them and upload them right back into your OSAP without even getting out of your pajamas. So much easier. You only have to do the consent and signature pages for yourself and your parents once, as long as you stay at the same school. If you switch schools or have a break in studies, that information will be asked of you again. The bottom part there, the MSFAA, this is the Master Student Financial Assistance Agreement, master being 1, not that you're a master student. So don't think that it's something else. It just means master is in 1 document. It's your bank information, and it has to be your bank information. It can't be a joint account. It can't be a parent's account. It's your bank. That's where your OSAP funding will be deposited by National Student Loans, and National Student Loans is like OSAP's bank. They're the agency that's going to deposit the funds, but they're also the agency that you're going to work with when you go back into repayment. So you will need to finish that documentation in order for the OSAP funding to be released, and all of it is posted online. So you can log in at any time to your OSAP and check your status and see how things are going. Once you've done that, you've clicked submit, it's run its assessment. It normally takes about 3 business days for it to go ahead and get everything there. You'll get something that looks like this. This is a student here at Trent. This current year, they're in the biology health sciences program, and they're studying full-time for this academic year. You can see they've been assessed to receive just over $14,000. They have $7,700 in grants and $6,200 in loans. The loan portion, they do have an option to opt out of that. So what that means is once they get this funding summary, they can look at it and go, 7,700 grants, that's pretty good. Maybe they got a scholarship, so they have some savings and their parents are helping out, and they go, you know what, I don't need the loan right now. They can log in and they can select the no loan option. Under that, how this option works, you would click that and the loan would kind of stay on hold. So that means only the grant funding would go out. Don't need the loan, you finish your year, you got your grants, you passed everything. That means you got your OSAP funding for free. But let's say that you put that loan on hold, but you're starting to experience some hardship. Maybe in January and February, and you need this loan money, you can log back in and you can remove that option and that loan will be kicked out to you. Whatever you don't use, you can repay to OSAP, or you can save it and use it for the following year. So it's up to you, but the option is there that you don't have to take the loan. There is some tips there down at the bottom for you. So even though OSAP says it's 14,000, you don't get that all in one lump sum. It's released in a 60-40 split. So that means you get a little bit more in the fall because they know that you're starting. Maybe you've moved out, you got a little more startup expenses. So you get a little bit more in the fall and you get 40% in the winter. In your OSAP, there is an extra screen that will actually show you what the breakdown is so that you'll know exactly how much is coming to you per term. But we like to let students know that it doesn't all come at once. Your funds will be paid to the school first. So if you have a balance due here at Trent in the fall, OSAP would pay us first, and then any difference would go into the bank account that you indicated on that master financial agreement. You are responsible as well to ensure that your school fees are paid in full. So this, you want to make sure that you're checking your OSAP account, that your funding's been released, but you also want to check your statement of account at the school because you want to see that those funds have come from OSAP and are now in your Trent account and have paid your bill. If you haven't and you are short, you're going to need to make sure that you get those fees paid. Here at Trent, our OSAP students get an extended deadline, which is awesome. So you get to the end of September to make sure your fees are paid, but you'll want to make sure that you're paying that. We see this a lot with resident students, is they tend to be a little bit more behind just because they have a bigger bill. So be mindful of that as well. The 5 main things to kind of know, like I mentioned, that 60-40 split. So make sure you're budgeting for that. Check out that extra screen, see how much you have coming in. Do you have another bursary from someplace else? Take all of that into consideration. If there's any changes in your course load or your income, you want to let OSAP know. You have to do that all the time. OSAP is not a one-time only application. You have to apply every year. So if you are planning to take OSAP for the following year, you would apply the summer before. If you're not looking to take OSAP, you still have to let OSAP know that you're back in school to keep your loans in good standing. That's a separate application. You have to be registered as a full-time student. So if you're taking full-time OSAP, that means that you have to be in at least 1.5 credits per term. And that here at Trent is 3 classes, and it's considered a 60% course load. If you're getting a scholarship from us, high five, super awesome. You don't need to report that to OSAP. We're going to go ahead and do that for you. It's considered award income. But if you're getting any external scholarships, you will need to put that onto your OSAP under the award income section. So that's it, scholarships, bursaries, and OSAP, but there's a lot of money outside of the school. So we can only give you so much, but you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of opportunities outside of Trent. So chat with your high school guidance office. They have a bunch of wonderful resources for students. Maybe your parents' place of employment offers scholarships and bursaries. There are some websites there, Scholarships Canada, Wyconic, Scholartree, and Disability Awards. These are all wonderful databases where companies and employers can go ahead and put opportunities there for students. You log in, you create a profile, and you just start applying. And they're not all academic based, which is awesome because maybe you're not the greatest at academics, but you write a really great essay, or maybe you're super creative and you can write poetry or draw, but take a look at them. If you have time, I did this with my daughter and I said, if you have time to be on Snapchat or whatever else you happen to be on, you have time to go and visit these websites and maybe make a little more money than you would on Snapchat. But did she do it? I don't know. RESPs and personal savings. Now is the time to start chatting with your parents. Do you have an RESP? If so, how much is in it? How do you want to allocate it? If you're living on campus that first year, maybe you want to take a little bit more out to cover that residence cost. But now is the time to have those conversations. It's going to be super awkward. Talking money is super awkward, but the more that you do it, it gets a whole lot easier. So The next part there is gifts and contributions from parents and relatives. Christmas is around the corner. Gift cards are fantastic. When you're getting closer to the start of term, look at grocery gift cards, gas gift cards, bookstore gift cards. All of these are fantastic. It saves some cash coming out of your bank account if you have these gift cards that you can use. Employment, that summer employment, TWSP, take a look at that student experience portal here. And the very last one there is private loans and student line of credit. We typically don't push a lot of students towards this. We want you to try OSAP first. OSAP's that combination of loans and grants. So that means there's that opportunity for free money, where with a student line of credit, you don't get that opportunity. It is all loan, and it requires a cosigner, where OSAP doesn't require a cosigner. So if you have to consider a student line of credit, my advice to you is just shop around. Make sure you know who you're signing up with, what the interest rates are, what the payments are expected of you. So make sure you shop around before you sign on the dotted line. One of our last screens here is how to prepare. You're doing it now. It's awesome. You're sitting here, you're listening to me speak, but create that financial plan. Take a look at that budget. What does it look like? How much is it going to cost? And remember that OSAP's not designed to cover all of your expenses. It's designed to supplement them. There is an expected contribution from you. So you need to go and you need to start filling out all those applications. Look at all those external awards. Apply. Don't think you're not eligible. Apply for everything. Let them tell you no. Be aware of how you're spending. Right now, it might be easy. I know online shopping or tapping, you don't realize how much you've spent until all of a sudden you log in and you look at your bank account. You're like, oh my gosh. Get a budget app. It's awesome. It helps you keep track even just for a little bit, even just to check in, just to see how that spending is going. And find your financial aid office. Find us, come chat with us. Maybe even if you just pop in and go, oh, that Bursary application, we'll remind you when it's posted. Just pop in, say hi, see if there's anything that you're missing. In Trent Peterborough, we're in Blackburn Hall. At Trent Durham, we're there twice a week, and we sit next to Miriam, next to recruitment, but someone will direct you to come find us, and you can always reach out to us. So our phone number is posted there, our website, our email address, but you can always get in touch with us. We can answer all of those OSAP questions for you. So any general ones, definitely have a conversation with us. The main thing to remember is each school owns their own OSAP. So if you're applying to another school, we can't see that for you. So you do have to work directly with them. But any general questions, we can definitely chat. So I'll stop sharing and then we can go into questions. There we go.
Yes, thank you, Danielle and Amanda, for that wonderful presentation and very insightful information that definitely students will need to know about for applying. And let's open the floor to some questions. I see in the chat here. One question that we do have at the top is, what about if you are applying for a January start?
Yeah. So the OSAP application for this academic year is posted. So a student can go to OSAP right now. When you get to your program though, instead of selecting, let's say kinesiology, you would just do a general search for the word winter. And then that will go ahead and do a winter OSAP application for you. And our bursary application will be opening in January within those first week of classes. So you can apply through your My Trent portal.
Amazing. Next question that we do have is, do transfer students count as first-year students?
So on our entrance bursary, it's intended for new students starting into post-secondary. So unfortunately, no, the transfer students don't, but they can still apply for everything else. So our in-course bursaries, transfer students are eligible for, they're eligible for our scholarships. So they're automatically considered for that, but just that entrance bursary, unfortunately, no, it is geared towards new students starting right of high school.
Okay, and just to follow up on that one, Danielle, we have a question here that's saying, is it better to apply for OSAP after being accepted or before my acceptance?
So I actually need to add this into the presentation. You do not have to have accepted your offer to any school to apply for OSAP. They want you to apply in advance because that could be part of your decision making, is that financial component with the OSAP. So no, you don't have to accept your offer to any school to apply. So if you're entertaining Trent and maybe UIT, you can have both of those OSAP applications open and processed and see what it looks like.
Right. And now switching the gears a little bit,
Mhm,
we have another question from a parent in the audience.
mhm,
And she writes, my daughter is doing a gap year after high school.
mhm.
How will that affect her eligibility for scholarships and bursaries?
It doesn't, as long as it's 1 year. So we look back for 2 years. So if a student didn't come for 2 years, we would still honor their high school grades. So it really doesn't. Take the gap year. You can go ahead and apply. What I though would recommend is applying for the prestigious scholarships this year, because if you don't want to miss the opportunity if you happen to defer from Trent, but it doesn't really affect anything. As long as you don't go to another school between now and then, we still consider the high school grades.
Okay, and then a follow-up from that on the topic of bursaries
Mhm.
is, are there any extra bursaries for students who have a disability?
Mhm.
And do you provide any assistance with devices needed for accommodations?
So there is a bursary for students with disabilities. It starts with our student accessibility office. So if you need accommodations or equipment or services, you would need to register with SAS, and you would chat with that advisor there, and then they would chat with you about our bursary for students with disabilities program.
Okay, great. And then another question we have here is, how does deferral change the financial process?
Financial as in OSAP or scholarships. It doesn't too much. I still recommend to apply for everything on that entrance year. If you get a scholarship offered to you and you decide to defer, it does carry forward with you as long as you don't attend another institution. So if you defer from Trent and then decide that you're going to go to Durham College, that scholarship is now null and void, because you now going to use those grades from Durham College and not those high school grades. So admissions would need to reassess you based off of that. But if you're just going to defer and take some time and then start later, that's okay. As long as you're within those 2 years, that scholarship is still honored.
Right. And then another question we have, Danielle. This might be, it's more studying dual credit with abroad, but you might be able to answer this one. It says, if someone chooses dual credit
Mhm.
and does some studying in the UK, is it any government institution or financial institution help to finance kind of studies with OSAP, since it doesn't pay much for that?
So you can still apply for OSAP if you're studying outside of the country. You would just work with the OSAP people themselves. So you wouldn't have a designated financial aid office, but there is funding opportunities through OSAP for students studying outside of the country. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. And then on the topic of mature students,
Mhm.
we have a question. Are mature students able to apply for any bursaries and scholarships?
Mhm. Yeah, so you'll be automatically considered for scholarships when you apply. So we'll use that admission average. And our admissions team will also let you know that if you're kind of tracking towards one, or maybe if you're not eligible, depending on how you're being admitted, like diploma programs don't transfer over for scholarships, but you can earn a scholarship when you're here. But mature students, yeah, you are still considered. Just chat with our admissions team first, and they'll let you know off the hop based off of how you've been admitted, if you're meeting all of that criteria, and then we do the assessment in our office.
Okay. And then another question we have here is, are there any athletic scholarships?
There are quite a few actually, and there's an athletic entrance bursary. So that gets posted, but the athletic scholarships are all done through our athletics department. So they do have a green and white scholarship for new students and for current students. You would definitely chat with them and your coaches and our admissions team, and they would get you in touch with somebody in that athletic department to chat about it.
Great. Another one coming in here we have is, if financial aid was not provided in my offer letter, can we ask the university to consider it again?
So financial aid isn't indicated in an offer letter, not from like from a domestic perspective. Our offer letter from admissions may include what you're tracking towards in regards to a scholarship, but there's no OSAP or bursary component in there. So just because we don't know, that is something independent, but the scholarship information is Trent information. So that information could be in the offer as the tracking towards. Anything to do with OSAP and bursaries would come from us at the time that you start applying.
Amazing. And on the topic of financial aid office, someone is wondering how someone would go about setting up an appointment with the financial aid office.
Yeah. So we don't really do appointments. We're huge fans of drop-in. If we are at the Trent Durham campus, it's only drop-in. You can drop in anytime between those business hours, 8:30 to 4:30. The same in Peterborough, just a bigger group of people to answer your question. But you can pop into the registrar's office in our Peterborough location. Our front desk can help you. And then our financial aid team is in the back. So if you require specialized, you can come in and chat, and one of us would come out and have a conversation with you. But yeah, no appointments.
Amazing. Okay. Oh, we've got a few more trickling in here. Can part-time transfer students apply for OSAP?
Yes. Part-time students, there is part-time OSAP. It's actually a beautiful program. The part-time OSAP program is mostly grant money, which is super awesome because there's no living allowance with that. They're just looking at the education component. So if you're part-time, you go onto the OSAP website, instead of selecting the full-time application, you would just select the part-time and let it run its process.
Amazing.
And you can still apply for bursaries as a part-time student. So it's awesome.
Even more.
Yes, more money, more free money.
Even more money. Okay. And let's see here. What is the deadline for applying for OSAP?
So if you are looking to start your studies in September, I'll give you my deadline, and then I'll tell you what the ministry deadline. If you would like to have money available for you when you start classes in September, ideally you want to have your OSAP application done by the end of July. We encourage that because our entrance bursary closes the end of July, that athletic one, and it then gives the financial aid office 1 month to make sure that your documentation gets processed, that your OSAP is in good standing, that you're registered in your classes, and then your funding can be released out to you in September. So that's my deadline. The true OSAP deadline is 60 days before the end of your studies. So if you're planning to study for September and April, it would be in February. But we're not going to follow that one. You're going to follow mine. You're going to make sure that you have it done before you start your studies, so that you're not sitting in class stressed about whether or not your OSAP's coming. You're going to know well in advance of you getting into classes in September.
Amazing. And I think we've kind of covered all the questions here. But an additional one that I'll add in, Danielle, is with your OSAP application. I know when I was doing my OSAP process, I had clicked the submit button, but for students who is their first time applying for OSAP, is there a way to go back into that application and update some information or add supplemental forms needed? Yeah.
So once you click submit on your OSAP application, you give up all control. So you can't go in and make any changes. You can request a change. So if it's something like maybe you changed your name or you realized you spelled your name wrong, you can request that to be changed. But any changes at that point come through the financial aid office. So make sure you check your spelling, make sure you check your income, because after that, all changes now do have to come through the financial aid office.
Right. Okay. And I think it looks like we've covered all the questions here so far.
Great.
So
is OSAP also known as financial aid, or grants and bursaries are known as financial aid? So financial aid in general is student assistance, whether it's through the OSAP program, whether it's through scholarships and bursaries, or external scholarships and bursaries. Financial aid is that bubble and what lives in there. So yeah, it could be grants, it could be bursaries, it could be scholarships, it could be OSAP, student line of credit. It's all considered financial aid.
Right. Is this recording available? Yes, this recording will be posted to our website on the Trent Advantage live streams, which we'll have in the chat below for you folks to check out as a link.
I think Amanda flagged another one. If your income changes from when you applied. When you're applying for OSAP, the question is going to ask you, do you plan to make any money during the study period? If you put in a 0 because you're not quite sure and then you get a job, you would just do our OSAP change form through your My Trent portal. So we make it super easy. It's always available. It takes 2 minutes to do. And you would just indicate the change there, whether it's a course load change or an income update. You want to make sure you keep your income up to date while you're in school. And then our office would go ahead and process that update onto your OSAP. Do transfer students count as first-year students? Yes and no. Yes, you're considered first year to me, especially under the scholarship component. Our entrance bursary, no, because you've already attended a previous post-secondary, but for scholarships, you're considered a first year student, but you can still apply for our in-course bursaries. Even though you miss out on the entrance, you're still eligible to apply for our in-course.
Oh, just a follow-up, Danielle, I guess from transfer students.
Yeah.
Is it specific programs that count towards that entrance scholarship, or is it majority?
No. So there's no specific programs.
Okay.
The only ones that we don't offer scholarships to are second entry. So like our Bachelor of Education, those students aren't eligible because they're second entry. That's a second entry program. But we, no, no, every program, every student gets considered when they enter into Trent. So if you don't hear from us and you think that you're eligible for a scholarship, you're always welcome to email our office. Sometimes what happens, especially a lot with transfer students, is we didn't get enough of that final transcript from the previous institution. During the summer, what happens with high school students is we didn't necessarily get the high school grades on time. So you may not have hit that first batch, but we try and do a few rounds so that we're catching, because different high schools give us information at different times. But if you think you're eligible for one, just email our office and we'll take a look at everything for you.
Hey, amazing. All righty. I think so good. We're doing great here.
Excellent. I see Amanda's killing it on the back end.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, if that's all the questions, folks, you can always reach us by email. So we have in the chat the financial aid email that you can reach, of course, Danielle and Amanda at. And any questions in general, you can always reach Discover Trent at trentu.ca or Discover Trent Durham at trentu.ca. And of course, feel free to check out the previous Trent Advantage live streams and follow-ups that we have throughout the week. And thank you all for joining us this evening. So we look forward to seeing you and hopefully for our next in-person tour or maybe in the fall.